Picture a machine that never tires, never slows, built to move the mass of a mountain, one bite at a time. This isn't concept art. This is mining engineering at its most extreme. Real steel, real diesel, real tonnage, working right now in open pit mines around the world. 6 machines, each heavier, stronger, and more capable than the last. By the final entry, even diesel disappears, replaced by raw electric force. We start at the bottom of that scale. Even here, the smallest machine on this list carries the weight of about 120 mid-size cars in a single load. 1. Crest Coal Hauler. This is the Crest Coal Hauler, specifically the Crest 200C2, built by Crest Corporation for one job, moving enormous quantities of coal through open pit mines, trip after trip. It's a unitized bottom dump design. The body releases its load through the floor rather than tipping backward, engineered for the smoothest ride and the fastest transport speeds in its class. Crest builds the truck. Caterpillar's dealer network sells, services, and supplies it. The numbers explain why it exists. In its standard configuration, it carries a payload of 220 tons, 240 US tons, with a body capacity of 228 cubic meters, close to 300 cubic yards. Remember that number, 220 tons. Everything else on this list gets measured against it. Power comes from a Caterpillar 3512 BHD engine, producing 1,700 horsepower gross. Built not for speed, but torque, enough to drag 220 tons up a steep mine road without losing momentum. A 6-speed planetary power shift transmission and lock-up torque converter send that power to the wheels, while a fully compensated, dual-chambered suspension with 2 full feet of travel keeps the ride smooth, whether the truck is loaded or empty. The philosophy is blunt: move more, in fewer trips, at higher speeds than a conventional haul truck can manage. The truck carries the load, the mine does the rest. But 220 tons is only the starting line. The next machine carries nothing at all. It weighs 152 metric tons, produces 1,150 horsepower, and uses a blade just over 24 feet wide to push up to 69 cubic meters of material in a single pass. This is the Komatsu D575A 3SD Superdozer. 2. Komatsu D575A 3SD Superdozer. The Crest carries 220 tons. The Komatsu D575 A3SD carries nothing. It pushes. Built by Komatsu in Japan, this crawler dozer exists for one reason: large-scale earth moving, especially in coal mines, where crews clear enormous volumes of overburden before ever reaching the coal underneath. 38 feet long, nearly 16 feet high, a blade just over 24 feet wide, more than 335,000 pounds, around 152 metric tons. Driven by a Komatsu SA12V170 EV12 diesel engine, about 46 liters, producing around 1,150 horsepower. But horsepower isn't the number that matters. What matters is what that power can move: up to 69 cubic meters, 90 cubic yards of material in a single pass. Where the Crest makes repeated trips, the Superdozer plants itself and stays. Automatic transmission, long gear ratios, crawler tracks, rigid undercarriage, all built for one thing: sustained pushing force. The tracks spread its 152-ton weight across the ground, giving it grip on terrain that would swallow a wheeled machine whole. Here's where the comparison turns interesting. The Crest carries 220 tons. The Superdozer weighs less, 152 tons, and still pushes almost 69 cubic meters in one pass. Different machines, different jobs, same objective: move an extraordinary amount of earth with as few passes as possible. Its reputation matches its size. One unit on display at a Texas trade expo reportedly took 2 full days just to unload. But the Superdozer still belongs to the ground. The next machine takes material away entirely, well over half again the Crest's 220-ton capacity. This is the Caterpillar 797F3. 3. Caterpillar 797F. The Crest carries around 220 tons. The Caterpillar 797F carries considerably more, 363 metric tons, or 400 US tons, in a single load. Built by Caterpillar in the United States, the 797F is an ultra-class mining haul truck, engineered for some of the largest iron, copper, and coal mines on the planet. 49 feet long, roughly 23 feet high, nearly 33 feet wide, with its mirrors extended. The weight is where this machine turns serious. Empty, it's more than 575,000 pounds, around 260 metric tons. Fully loaded, its gross operating weight runs close to 1.4 million pounds, around 624 metric tons. Moving that mass takes real power. A Caterpillar C175-20 diesel engine, 20 cylinders, roughly 106 liters, producing around 4,000 horsepower, more than double what the Crest makes. Again, none of that power is for speed. The engine, a 7-speed automatic transmission, and rear-wheel drive exist to keep hundreds of tons moving, including on long uphill climbs at full load. Going downhill is a different problem entirely. A 363-ton payload carries enormous momentum, so the 797F relies on heavy-duty suspension and electronically managed braking to keep that weight under control on steep descents. Then, the tires, each nearly 13 feet tall, built to carry hundreds of tons across rough terrain, trip after trip, without failure. It comes back to one number: 363 metric tons per load, 143 tons more than the Crest's payload. Fewer trucks, fewer trips, to move the same volume of material. Ultra-class haulage was never just about size, it's about consistency. A truck that moves an enormous load every single time it leaves the loading point. The 797F is already enormous, but the next machine goes further: 450 tons, 2 diesel engines, a diesel-electric drivetrain running to 4 electric wheel motors. This is the BelAZ 75710, 4 BelAZ 75710. The Caterpillar 797F carries 363 metric tons in a single load. The BelAZ 75710 goes further, 450 tons. Built in Belarus, this ultra-large mining truck exists for one reason: open pit mines where every trip has to move hundreds of tons, or the operation stops making financial sense. About 67.5 feet long, 26.5 feet high, nearly 32 feet wide. Empty, it already weighs around 360 metric tons. Loaded, its total moving mass can exceed 800 tons. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Instead of one large diesel engine and a conventional mechanical drivetrain, the 75710 runs 2 V16 diesel engines, each producing around 2,300 horsepower, 4,600 horsepower combined. But that power never touches the wheels directly. It generates electricity, which drives 4 electric wheel motors in an 8x8 all-wheel drive system built to put enormous torque onto the ground. It needs every bit of it. The truck carries 450 metric tons in a single load, the highest payload on this list, 87 tons more than the Caterpillar 797F's 363-ton payload. High-drop pneumatic independent suspension absorbs the load, while onboard electronics manage the drivetrain across mine roads that were never built for comfort. Even the fuel tank runs on a different scale, more than 1,300 gallons, roughly 5,000 liters. In 2014, the BelAZ 75710 earned a Guinness World Record for the highest capacity haul truck ever built. A fitting record, since the entire machine began with one question. The 797F already moved 363 tons. What if one truck could carry more? The answer was 450. But the scale is about to change completely. The next machine weighs approximately 811 tons by itself. Instead of carrying material, it uses nearly 4,000 horsepower to dig roughly 75 tons out of the ground in a single pass. This is the Hitachi EX8000-6 Hitachi EX8000-6. The BelAZ 75710 carries 450 tons. The Hitachi EX8000-6 carries nothing. It digs. Built by Hitachi Construction Machinery in Japan, the EX8000-6 is one of the largest hydraulic excavators ever built, designed for the extreme demands of major copper, gold, and coal mines. About 49 feet long, more than 33 feet high, its weight is what changes the scale entirely, approximately 811 metric tons, almost double the BelAZ's maximum payload. Sitting on the ground before the excavator ever lifts a bucket. power comes from two Cummins QSK60V16 engines, producing around 3,880 horsepower combined, feeding the hydraulic systems that drive its boom, arm, and bucket. Independent hydraulic circuits deliver the force for digging, lifting, and swinging, while wide crawler tracks spread its weight across the mine floor. Then comes the number that actually matters, the bucket. It moves approximately 45 cubic meters, roughly 75 tons, of material in a single pass. So while the BelAZ hauls 450 tons away, the EX8000-6 can fill a truck that size in a handful of cycles. In some operations, a 300-ton truck gets loaded in just 4 or 5 passes. That's the real measure of a machine like this. Not its size, its appetite. The bucket alone is wide enough to fit 2 full-sized cars, side by side. The operator runs it all from an enclosed, climate-controlled cabin, sound-insulated, shielded with protective glazing, built for an environment where heat, dust, vibration, and continuous heavy loading are simply the job. The EX8000-6 has worked some of the largest open-pit mines on Earth, across Canada, Australia, and Chile, and it adapts. One unit was modified for lithium mining, its hydraulic systems reinforced to resist corrosion. So far, every machine on this list has been bigger than the last. The Crest carried 220 tons. The 797F carries 363. The BelAZ carries 450. Now, an 811-ton excavator lifts 75 tons in a single pass. 6 Komatsu P and H4800XP-CAC. The Hitachi EX8000-6 weighs approximately 811 metric tons, but the next machine changes the technology completely. No diesel engine, no hydraulic digging system. Instead, the P and H4800XP-CAC uses high-voltage electricity, enormous electric motors, ropes, and a dipper capable of holding up to 70 cubic meters of material. This is the Komatsu P and H4800XP-CAC. Built by Komatsu as an ultra-class electric rope shovel, the 4800XP-CAC is designed to load some of the largest haul trucks in the world with as few passes as possible. The scale is difficult to visualize. The machine weighs approximately 1,660 metric tons and stands nearly 15 meters high and wide. Its nominal payload is around 123 metric tons, while its dipper can hold between 66 and 70 cubic meters, roughly 86 to 92 cubic yards. But the number that matters is production. The 4800XP-CAC is designed for 3-pass loading of 360 metric ton, 400 short-ton haul trucks. The shovel digs into the bank, fills its enormous dipper, swings toward the truck, and dumps, repeating the cycle until hundreds of tons are loaded and ready to leave the mine. And unlike the machines earlier on this list, there is no giant combustion engine driving the shovel. The 4800XP-CAC connects directly to the mine's electrical infrastructure, using high-voltage 3-phase power to drive its electric motors. Twin low-inertia AC motors power the crowd system, while electric drives handle hoisting, swinging, and propulsion. Then comes the reach. It can dig to a height of approximately 18.9 meters, reach out roughly 24 meters, and dump from a height of about 10.8 meters. Depending on the application, Komatsu lists production of up to approximately 11,748 metric tons per hour. That's the real difference with a machine like this. It isn't built to travel quickly. It's built to sit at the mining face, dig, swing, dump, and repeat for thousands of cycles. The Crest moved enormous loads by road. The superdozer pushed them. The 797F and BelAZ hauled them. The EX8000-6 attacked the ground with hydraulic power. The 4800XP-CAC takes a different approach. It turns high-voltage electricity into digging force, moving thousands of tons of material every hour without a diesel engine. And at this scale, the machine isn't just equipment. It's an entire industrial system built around one objective: keep the mine moving.